Good morning, Bitcoiners. This is Daniel. Citadel Summer, episode 58. Your ticket out. That's what Bitcoin is, right? Your ticket out of the clown show. Your ticket out of the fun house. That's what Bitcoin is. And that's why now is a great time to get your hands on some Bitcoin and learn how to hold on to it. That's really where we are right now in Bitcoin. I think the door is closing for plebs. It's still a great time. You can still buy Bitcoin, and it's the greatest savings technology that's ever been invented because it is the perfect money, right? So I say now is the time to get it. You can buy Bitcoin, you know, you can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. Jerry buys $1 worth of Bitcoin every hour, every 10 minutes. I don't know what he does, right? But Jerry buys Bitcoin in small increments all day long. He doesn't buy Bitcoin every day. He buys Bitcoin like every hour. So Bitcoin you can buy in very small increments because it is super divisible. There's 100,000 Satoshis in one Bitcoin. So even in the future, as long as the trade, the fiat trash token for Bitcoin trade is still, that window is still open, and I think it will be for a while, probably at least another cycle, right? You can still get your hands on some Bitcoin. So don't wait, don't stop, don't think that it's over, don't think you're too late, because you're not. Bitcoin is going to go up forever, really. But getting your hands on some, getting a ticket for the train before it leaves the station is super important. You don't want to wait on that. If you've studied Bitcoin, if you understand it, if you even have an inkling of it at this point, Jerry says you got to have 100 hours of study of Bitcoin, and what does he say? He wants you to get 1 million Satoshis. And I think that's pretty good advice to start with. 100 hours of study, 1 million Satoshis. And the reason being is that you want to purchase your own ticket for the train, your ticket out of the funhouse, out of clown world. You want to get that for yourself. You don't want someone to give it to you, because then if you do, you won't understand Bitcoin. And even worse than never having Bitcoin, you're going to get these Satoshis from somebody, right? Some well-meaning person will send you some Satoshis, maybe even help you set up a Lightning wallet and send you Satoshis. Some well-meaning Bitcoiner. And you're just going to not value them. The best case scenario is you forget all about them for a while and you have them, right? And Bitcoin does what it does. And then you're like, wow, I have some Bitcoin. And you study it and you learn it and you develop conviction. You learn how to really hold it long term. And that's the best case scenario with that kind-hearted Bitcoiner sending money to someone who doesn't understand Bitcoin, right? The worst case scenario is Bitcoin goes up a little bit, you sell it, you're gone. This is old school Bitcoiners, OG Bitcoiners, the Silk Road crowd, right? Who only got into Bitcoin so they could buy things on Silk Road. There's a lot of people that are like that from the old days, right? They needed Bitcoin so that they could, I think Peter McCormick's story is he needed Bitcoin so he could buy cannabis for his mom who was sick, and that's a really good reason to get into Bitcoin and to buy cannabis for your mom on Silk Road so she could help to deal with her illness, right? But a lot of people got Bitcoin to buy things on Silk Road, and a lot of times it was weed. Bitcoin is very intertwined with that. The early days of Bitcoin, that was the first big, killer application for Bitcoin, was using the Silk Road. Not everyone understood Andreas back in the day, right? Not everyone got hooked in that way. And that was totally legitimate. That was the time for Bitcoin. But here's the thing. You could get a lot of Bitcoin then. You could get Bitcoin for free on the, just by playing a game on the internet, signing up for just anything, right? 10 Bitcoin was like nothing, right? 10 Bitcoin was like, 1,000 Satoshis is now, right? Just like now we can use Fold or we can use ShakePay and we can get Satoshis. Back then, you could get Bitcoin in the same way, right? And people did, and they didn't understand Bitcoin. It was just a novelty. And they had a lot of Bitcoin. And they sold it as soon as it went from 30 cents to $3, right? Don't let that be you, right? Once you have your ticket, you have to hold on to your ticket, right? You have to hold on to your ticket. As the train leaves the station, you hold on to your ticket. And the conductor is going to come around on the train to make sure you have the ticket. Because all the good things on the train that you want to buy are only going to be available with Bitcoin. That's not far away. Soap Miner soap, the best tallow soap I've ever used. It's awesome. Shout out Soap Miner. I don't know if you watch my videos. That soap is only available with Satoshis. You can't buy it with trash tokens. And that is a harbinger of what is coming. All the good things that you can buy will only be available with Satoshis. That's the only way. So that's your ticket. You got to get your ticket to get on the train, right? Because the conductor's going to come by. When they wheel that cart down the aisle, there ain't nothing on that cart that you can get with trash tokens. And the trash token window is closing soon too. I'm saying I predict it's going to close in 4 years. I think this is a last cycle that you'll be able to get Bitcoin for trash tokens. There'll be other valuable things you can trade for Bitcoin, I'm sure, right? But fiat trash tokens, I don't think so. That's my prediction. So let's write it down. It's 2025, August. This is what Daniel from Bitcoin Citadel predicted. So you want to acquire Bitcoin and you want to get that ticket because that's your ticket out of Clown World, right? That's your ticket out of Clown World. And that means you got to know how to acquire Bitcoin and you got to know how to hold Bitcoin. And you have to have the conviction and the understanding of Bitcoin not to sell it when the price starts to go up, because it's going to run. I think in October and November of this year, Bitcoin is going to run like crazy. I'm not sure what the end of the year number is going to be. Usually Bitcoin is at an all-time high around January. That's happened many times, right? And by all-time high, I don't mean the little all-time highs that we've had so far in this cycle. It's been awesome, and I'm not sad about it. I'm not unhappy about it. I like the dips, but I like the all-time highs too. I'm talking about a blow-off top. We'll see if there's a blow-off top here. There's no evidence that we're in a blow-off top right now. That hasn't happened this cycle. So we've been chopping around, and the spring has been gathering tension, and it's ready to blow, right? And all the signs are looking like that's how things are lining up. So now might be a good time if you're dabbling, if you're considering, if you're thinking about getting your hands on some Bitcoin. And I was talking to some friends of mine. One in particular is really interested in Bitcoin, but he hasn't pulled the trigger yet. He's not quite ready. And I told him, I said, I know you. You love to tinker with things. You love to learn new things. You love to try to dial things in and really make it perfect. And he moves from one thing to another that he really, really gets to the bottom of, really, really understands it, and becomes an expert at it, right? The specific knowledge of that discipline, he just hoovers it in, right? He really understands things once he starts to get serious about it and focuses on it. And I said, you'll love Bitcoin. All the things you like to do, you can do in Bitcoin. You can learn about hot wallets and cold wallets and the hardware. He's a real gearhead. He loves gear. You can learn about the cold wallets, right? All the little details about what you can use them for. You can learn about Sparrow and border wallets and how you would cross a border with your Bitcoin. You know, how you're going to store it securely and safely. You know, how you're going to encrypt it with super backed, right? How you can run your own node, right? And then in addition to that, this is something a lot of Bitcoiners, new coiners, aren't ready yet, but really super important. To be a sovereign person, a free person in Bitcoin, to use your ticket, to get on the train, to get out of clown world, you need to run your own node. There's no doubt about it. And that's not some altruistic thing you do for the network, right? Though it does help the Bitcoin network. You need to run your own node for your own security and your own privacy. You want to run your own node. You want to index it with Electrum, or the Start9, they call it the Electrum service. It's an index that makes the node perform better when you connect to it with your wallet, with a Sparrow wallet. So you want to have that too, right? And you want to have your own mempool. That's the most private way that you can, most people, because there are super geeky ways that you can be even more private than that. But for most people, when you're getting into it, to aspire to be a node runner and be a peer on the Bitcoin network is a good goal to have, right? And it's super achievable and it's super important. So you have your ticket to get out, you get on the train, and the cart starts to come down the aisle. There's certain things you want to do. One of them is to definitely run your own node. And what I do, even though I'm a technical person, I ran my own node on the first node I ever ran was on a Mac laptop, right? And then I ran one on an old iMac that I had, and then that thing crashed. I lost 1.5 million Satoshis, because I didn't have things backed up the way I should. And I was fooling around with things. And I decided I was going to buy my own mini server. So I got a Meerkat from System 76 and I installed Start9 on it. And that's what I use for all my services. Start9's coming out with a really awesome update soon. It's going to get even better. The network stack in Start9 now is Tor, and that's it. You can access it on your local area network without running Tor. But that's, if you want to access it from the internet, it's Tor only, which is good for security, especially if you understand Tor, right? But it's terrible if you want to actually connect to anyone else on the internet and you're not a super geek, So Start9's coming out with an update real soon. They haven't updated the operating system since 2023, but they're coming out with a big update, and it's already in alpha. I think it might even be in beta now. People are testing it, and the network stack is actually out in the beta now, so it's almost ready to release. And that's going to be, if you want to buy a server, and don't make the mistake I made and have all your eggs in the basket of an old computer, like that old iMac I had. That thing was like, it was old, right? And I trusted it to be my server, right? My sovereign computer on the internet. And I thought I had it backed up, but there was no way for me to do a trial restore, right? So I couldn't test it. And when it shit the bed, when it went out, I couldn't restore. I tried to restore from I had a server. I had a server backup, and it just wasn't working. I'm a technical guy. I actually was a system administrator, and I kicked myself for the quality of my system administration on my own important server. But the problem really was, it was a terrible old machine, and I put all my eggs in one basket, and I didn't have a good restore strategy or a good backup strategy in retrospect. Now I have my mini server. It's a great system. I overbuilt it so I can, the blockchain can grow significantly. I got a lot of memory. I got as much performance as I could afford. It stung a little bit when I got it, right? That's what you want to do when you buy one of these systems. Make it sting a little bit, right? So you're future-proofing it. my next goal, and I'm running my services on there, and a whole bunch of services. My old Mac, I could only run like 2 or 3. I could run Core, Electrum, and Mempool, right? That was really it before the thing started to lag. Now I can run anything I want. My next step, right, for hosting this is there's 2 steps I'm going to do. One is I have to get a device that I can do trial restores on, right? And you can do a trial restore probably just on any device, right? Like I could do a trial restore of my system on any device that had as much storage as the Meerkat I have now, the server I have now. But really, ideally what I want to do is get a cheaper server that I can use my USB drive and do trial restores on to make sure that I can restore it. And that's something that's high on my list of things to do. The other thing is once StartOS comes out with its next update, is I'm going to get a network attached storage device, a NAS, right? Because Start9 doesn't support NAS now. It doesn't. That's another, in the update, that stack is also going to be updated, so you can use a network attached storage device. And now I can get rid of my iCloud, right? I don't need that anymore because I can put my photos, my videos, all of that stuff on my network attached storage device and back that up, right, myself. So on a big thumb drive if I want, right? So that's really the direction I'm heading in as far as, I have my ticket on my way out of clown world, but I want to be, Bitcoin for me is freedom money. It's a ticket. It's a ticket out, right? That's what it is, and that's some of the things that I'm doing to try to hold on to my Bitcoin and to become a sovereign individual, to exit clown world, because this is the time of exiting clown world. That's the zeitgeist. That's the age that we're living in. So if your goal is to exit, if your goal is to and I know you're already awakened to a certain extent because you're into Bitcoin, you're watching this video. If your goal is, it's time for me to open my eyes, right? And Bitcoin is a vehicle for freedom, and you're on that path, right? This is the time for that. That's the zeitgeist that we're living in right now. It is the Great Awakening. It is, the fiat apocalypse, as Nolan says, as my friend Nolan, Count BTC says. That's where we are right now. And if you want to be a peer on the Bitcoin network and take full advantage of the golden age that's ushering in and be a player character in that, you're in the right place, right? Get your hands on some Bitcoin, learn how to hold on to it. If you've gotten this far, as I always ask, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and most importantly, leave me a comment. There's less than 2 weeks left in the Citadel summer. This morning I just missed it. The sky was so beautiful, and I don't hear the cardinals sing anymore. The birds don't wake me up, so I have to wake up myself. And I woke up and I was like, oh man, it's time. I jumped up, I looked outside, and the sky was like a beautiful orange, just crazy sky. I jumped in the car and I drove too fast out here. I'm skidding on the dirt roads, and all that stuff. I got out and it still looked pretty, but it wasn't that orange masterpiece of a sky. It's what it is. That's cool. That's all for me today. I hope you're enjoying these videos. Like I said, a comment goes a long way. We're getting toward the end. I don't know what I'm going to do after Labor Day. We'll see. I have some ideas. That's all for today. I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace.